Another month over and a new month beginning. It is time to wrap up all the books that I read in the month of June. Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. It is the start of another month, which means it's time to wrap up the books from the previous month. So I'm here today to give you guys my June wrap up. Now, I don't know if you guys have also been having issues with Goodreads, but I've had a terrible amount of issues with tracking what I've been reading with Goodreads. Some days I log into Goodreads and my entire reading for this year is gone, and then I log out and log back in and it's back, but it's just really upsetting to log in and have all your books gone. Also, it's been a pain tracking rereads this year. That you can add reading dates and stuff. Sometimes it has the book on there twice for me. Sometimes it doesn't count it at all, and I have to like manually edit. It'll add different editions that I haven't even read. I've just had a huge issue with tracking my reading through Goodreads this year. In addition to using Goodreads this year, I've also been using a novel companion. This is designed by Little Inklings Designs. I'll leave her channel linked up below. She does a great flip through of this book that she designed. It's like a day planner, but specifically geared towards books and social media platforms that you have based around books. And in the beginning of there's this beautiful bookshelf that you can color in. So I've been tracking my reading months this way, and it's a lot easier to color in right after I finish a book and then just hope Goodreads tracks what I'm reading. So I've been using my novel companion and been really enjoying that. For the month of June, I read 5 books, 4 of which were audiobooks. I don't think I would get as much reading in anymore if I wouldn't have had audiobooks. They are just a huge addition to my reading life, and I can't believe I didn't discover these sooner or didn't appreciate them sooner. But let's just get into the books that I have been reading. The first book was a reread, and it was a road trip listen to the audiobook of The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. I just really wanted my sister to listen to the series to see if she would like it. I liked re-listening to them. I really enjoy the audiobooks and the dramatized full cast audiobooks for them. So it was a fun listen to and a great way to kill time when you're driving through the most boring part of Saskatchewan. The next book I finished on audiobook was The Shadow Queen by C.J. Redwine. I have been on and off about whether or not I wanted to listen/read this book. I tried when I borrowed it from the library, but just didn't get into it. I thought it sounded too dark. But I heard a lot of rave reviews about it. A lot of people like Nadine, Brandis, and Mary Weber and all of them were talking about it. And I think they did like a writer's retreat with C.J. Redwine. So I decided to give it a go and see how I liked it. This book reminded me so much of the movie Snow White and the Huntsman, just the aesthetic of it. Now, if you didn't like the magic and that aspect of Snow White and the Huntsman, you probably won't like the magic and that kind of darkness aspect of The Shadow Queen. I didn't find it too dark for me personally, but some people might find it a bit on the darker side. The characters in the book were fantastic. You have great family relationships, friend relationships, just a lot of really great cast of characters, and overall just a really enjoyable read. It was pretty retelling tropey in some parts of it, but once I finish the series, I might do a full series review for it. Overall, I gave The Shadow Queen a 4-star rating. Other than being very tropey and dark in some places, I didn't have a lot of other problems with it. The magic, I would definitely give a content warning if you have issues with magic or even some darker aspects of magic. It did feel a little dark at some points, so I'd give you a heads up for that. There's no sexual content. Any language was made up, but very made up, and also wasn't overused to the point of it feeling like a swear word, so there wasn't even a lot of that in there. So it was pretty clean on the language and sexual content front. And the violence I can't remember any violence. I think I'd give it kind of a mild violence as well. There was definitely some violence in there. Although, like, it's not coming to mind right now, but definitely a magic and violence content for that. So moving on to the next book, I finally finished A Time to Rise by Nadine Brandis. This is the 3rd book in the Out of Time series. I finally got a physical copy of it. I did have them on ebook. I don't like reading off my phone, so I wanted to get physical copies, and it took forever because the publisher was having issues, but we got it. I have my book, and I finally finished it. I gave it a 5-star rating. It is a very good conclusion to the series. It has great Christian values and faith elements into this book. It was so well done, so well integrated into the storyline. Although I found with the third book that I was missing the urgency or the reason behind taking down the council or what they were fighting for. It just felt lost to me and almost like we're grasping at something to fight for. Definitely in the first two books you knew you were fighting against the council and the clocks and the wall and stuff. For the third book it just felt like, what are we doing? There's no urgency anymore. It just kind of lost that. The characters and the writing and the way the story did flow made up for all of that. I really enjoy this. It is a fantastic dystopian. I would highly recommend it if you are fans of such like The Hunger Games or the Anomaly trilogy by Kristen McGee. Guaranteed a clean read. There might be some violence to be concerned about, but guaranteed a clean read in all other aspects. I had no other issues with, except for, like I said, maybe possibly some violence. The next book I finished was our Coffee&Chapters and Christian YA book club pick for June, and we only had one book this month. We had The Silent Songbird. This is book 7 in our Hagenheimer read-along. So we completed our rereads of the books and are on to our new book next month, which is very exciting. So I finished this one, left it at a 5-star rating, loved listening to it again. I think though I found Evangeline a lot more annoying this time around. I don't know if audiobooks are changing those perspectives of like hearing the characters, but for some reason I didn't enjoy Evangeline's character as much as I did the first time. So I don't know, that kind of changed a bit for me, but still really enjoyed it. I have never had any complaints about Melanie Dickerson's books, so moving on. The last book I finished literally on the 30th of July, right before midnight, was The Wish Granter by C.J. Redwine. This is the second book in the Ravenspire series. This is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. This was a very creative Rumpelstiltskin retelling. I really enjoyed this. I gave it a 4-star rating. The main issue I had with this was possibly body or fat shaming. I haven't read a lot of books with this issue before, so I wasn't too sure, like, it kind of bothered me to make me like think about it, but it just got pointed out a lot that this character was curvy. She even some point says like, yeah, you want me to run, and then like looks down at her curves. So I identified with her at a lot of aspects, especially her love of food. But she had like people give her the up down, people suggest she eat fruit. One guy in anger called her fat. Her curves always seem to be mentioned. The guy that falls for her like always notices how her dress hit her curves. So I couldn't tell if she was just like curvy or like ate a lot. Like I couldn't tell, and it just seemed to be a huge point of bringing out the fact that she's not skinny. And also just like some people pointing out to her in the book that she's not skinny, or making references to the princess and her love of food. So I wasn't too sure how I felt about that. Now I love having characters that are curvy because I relate to that as a curvier girl. So I appreciate having a character that I can identify with. I just didn't need to be constantly reminded that this girl was curvy. I got it. And also, like, people kind of, like, shaming her for that. So, like, I didn't know how I felt about that. That was really the only issue I had about the book. Couple moments of, like, always noticing her body and stuff, so that was kind of awkward. Language-wise, again, there wasn't anything language. The magic was also relatively toned down compared to the Shadow Queen, so it wasn't as dark, but there was a lot of really strong magical elements because of, you know, Rumpelstiltskin and what he does and stuff. So there was a couple of heads up for that. It's also the whole like curvy girl shaming thing. I don't know how I felt about that. I don't know if it was shaming or not. Anyway, we're just going to move on. I don't know how I feel about that. It was just kind of off-putting in some aspects for me. So those are all the books I read in June. I'm hoping to pick up a huge amount for July. We'll see how that goes. I'm trying to get a lot of audiobooks for July to kind of pick up my reading again. But it looks like my TBR is going to have a lot of physical books. So we'll see how this goes. As always, you guys, let me know what you guys read in the month of June and what your favorite book was for June. I like hearing about what you guys are reading as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!